guys, welcome back to my channel. Thanks so much for being here today. Today I'm going to share with you 5 rules for creating content as an entrepreneur to reach your goals quicker than I did. If you're new here, my name's Angel. I share everything behind the business of social media on this channel. So whether you're an influencer, a creator, or an entrepreneur that wants to learn and grow on social media as well as grow your income, go ahead and subscribe and click that notification bell so that you get notified each time I upload a video. Let's jump right in. All right, let me just share with you these 5 rules that I think you should incorporate if you're a content creator. The number 1 rule is to focus on evergreen content versus today content. What do you mean by that, Angel? I'm so glad you asked. So let's break down first, what is evergreen content? Evergreen content is content that's always around, that's always helpful, that's always relevant in some fashion, a sort of way. Versus today's content are like trends. It's things that are only around like right now and only relevant right now. If you want sustainable growth and you want to work less, focusing on evergreen content is the route to go and is the key. Otherwise, you'll have to stay on top of trends and keep pushing out content based on what's trending at that moment. Now, I'm not saying you only have to do evergreen. You can do a mixture if that's what you want to do. But the rule of thumb is to focus. Make sure your primary focus is evergreen if you want sustainable growth and less work. Now, some people do get popular and stay popular doing today's content, just doing trending stuff. But again, you always have to stay on top of the trend. You always got to stay on what's coming out. It's just a constant battle of uphill work. Whereas if I put out one piece of evergreen content, I can put that piece of evergreen content on every platform, and guess what? 3 years down the road, it's still relevant, it's still helpful, and that has happened to me and continues to happen to me, okay? So believe me when I tell you that that's what you want. I'll give you a great example. When I was pregnant, there were plenty of months I actually did not work. But guess what? There was never a month I did not make money. Never a month that I did not make money. The reason why is because most of my content is evergreen content. If I had to do challenges, I mean, every week I would have to put out something new based on the trend. You don't really want to establish that way for sustainable growth doing today's content. I would have never been able to take off the amount of time that I did while pregnant if I only did today's content. I still make money from stuff and content I put out from years ago. All right, so that's my first tip. Tip number 2. Yes, I have a script in front of me. I tell you guys about that all the time. To stay on track and make sure you don't forget nothing, make sure you have a script. If you want to learn more about how I create YouTube videos, I have a video for that. So be sure to check that out. Tip number 2. Quality matters. Quality matters. And honestly, it kind of can go, in relation with evergreen content. And I say quality because quality over quantity sustains any day. If you have one piece of high quality content, that means using the right tools, the right equipment, all of that. To get quality content, you have to use that good stuff. That piece of high quality content can last you years. It can keep growing with you. It's also an impression on people. So if the first piece of, let's say, evergreen content somebody comes across is not a piece of high quality content, their first impression of you is gonna be like, oh, they put out mess. I don't wanna waste my time on them anymore. I'm not gonna subscribe. That's a mess. You wanna make sure, even though your content may be helpful and it may be evergreen, you want it to make sure it's a high quality piece of content. For example, I had someone tell me years ago when I started creating my YouTube videos, they were like, your videos are just as good as the big YouTubers I see. Like, you do amazing work. That was a huge compliment for me. I was like, thank you so very much. That's my goal. Remember who you're competing against. Also remember, you want somebody to subscribe and you want your first impression to be a great impression. It doesn't matter what platform. It could be Instagram, it can be TikTok, it doesn't matter. Make sure your stuff is high quality. Pinterest, for example. If you put a piece of mess up on Pinterest, that pin is not gonna get repinned and repinned. And when people see you put out good stuff, good pins, the algorithm sees that, it's gonna push you. And also, people's gonna see you. So their first impression is gonna be, oh, I can follow this person. They got great content. I like what I see. People are visual. Remember that. So yes, make sure your content is high quality content. Thirdly, you want to make sure to have a plan, okay? Like the saying goes, having a roadmap gets you to your destination quicker. If you don't have a roadmap, you could be all over the place. You could be trying to get to New York and end up in Nevada. So having a roadmap is important. Having that strategy is crucial, guys. I have a resource in the description box below that is a step-by-step walkthrough of helping you create your content strategy. It dives into forcing you to ask you your why, your how, the tools you need to be successful, your workflow, your content strategy, your revenue strategy, your action plan, how are you going to do this. All of that is super crucial and essential as well. So make sure to have all of that mapped out. Have your strategy. I've had strategies every year. I create strategies every few months. As a matter of fact, I look at what's working, what's not working, where am I going, how do I want to get there. It's very important. So I highly recommend you check out the resource that I have below that guides you through that and helps you to get to your destination quicker and in a much more focused way. If you're trying to create content as an entrepreneur, go ahead and create a business as soon as possible. I kid you not. Let's just speak with YouTuber. Remember, being a YouTuber is a small business, especially if you do it as a job or career, not as a hobby. But if you are literally doing this as your job, as your career, and you're focused on it, it is a small business. You have to spend expenses and you bring in revenue. I mean, and that goes for all the platforms. Really, you know, if you're creating content, again, as an entrepreneur, as a business, as a brand, you have expenses and then you also bring in revenue. So create you a business, get you a business bank account, get you a LLC, you know, or speak to someone about if you don't know which business route to go. Get that all in place, and that can be the best thing you do for your business is to go ahead and have it as a business. This is my job. This is my career. This is a business. And the last rule that you want to make sure to incorporate and to make sure that you stand by is to stay focused and consistent. They may sound like simple terms, but guys, it's hard. Even though it's the simplest words, it is the hardest things to do sometimes. Because let's say you got a YouTube channel and you created, let's say, 20 videos, right? And you're not getting views. You're like, oh, my channel's not going anywhere. I guess YouTube isn't for me. You know, you do it for 3, 4, 5, 6 months. Or you create 6 to 10 podcasts and you're like, nobody's listening, so podcasting's not work for me. Or you create a store and you don't get any sales for 6 months. You're like, okay, well, maybe this just wasn't for me. Guys, staying focused and consistent is a rule of thumb you have got to learn to incorporate in your life. Nothing happens overnight. Nothing happens overnight. You can't just do 10 pieces of content and just because you didn't get traction, you give up. You lose your focus. You lose your consistency. Like, you stop putting out content. That's the worst thing you can do for yourself. If you want to create content as an entrepreneur, you have got to give it your all for a minimum amount of time. Now, if you have been creating content on YouTube for, let's say, 2 years and you were consistent, you gotta be consistent. You can't just create 1 video 1 week, skip a month, or just create 6 videos in a year. You gotta be consistent, okay? Whether it's 1 video a week, 2 videos a week, you gotta be consistent. If you've created content on that channel let's say YouTube, if you've created videos on YouTube for 2 years and it's not went anywhere, it's not gotten off the ground, and you've done everything in your power that you can do, that means you've taken courses, you've learned from experts, you've incorporated what they told you to over and over again, and it's not working, okay, then yeah, maybe YouTube is not for you, okay? Then maybe it's time to move on to something else or try something else. But you cannot just say, after creating 20 videos and 3-4 months, not working for me, I'm not getting any traction. You ain't taking no courses, you haven't taken no workshops, you haven't learned from pros, you haven't incorporated things that you need to, and you just give up. That's not being focused and consistent. You can't say something doesn't work for you when you have not put in the work, and you've not been consistent, and you've not been focused. It goes again for your store, for your podcast, for your Instagram, TikTok. It does not matter which platform, which route you're trying to take. If you don't be consistent and focused for at least a certain amount of time, I started my store in December. I had 1 sale, and that's with as big as I am, okay? It took months for my store to get off the ground to where it's generating consistent, monthly revenue. It takes time for anything, and you also have to, again, be consistent. You have to be focused. It doesn't matter what you do. Like with podcasts are extremely difficult, and I've heard from so many people in the industry, you have got to consistently give it your all and stay focused. Do podcast after podcast after podcast. If for a year you've put out a weekly podcast, you've marketed your podcast, you've taken workshops on how to become a great podcaster and how to get your podcast out there, and you've incorporated everything your coaches and teachers have told you, and it's not working, okay, then let it go. Okay, it may not be for me, but I'm gonna just throw this out there. If you get my workbook, which I have below in the description box, it guides you what you should focus on initially. Yes, I always hype being on multiple platforms, and I highly recommend that you do, but it actually breaks down what you potentially should start with depending on what you're good at and all of that. So grab that workbook. It's super essential. It's there to help you. It is there to help you guys, save you time, and just get there quicker than I got there, okay? It's just a rule of thumb. Stay focused, stay consistent. Remember, nothing happens overnight. Nothing happens overnight, okay? So I hope that you guys incorporate these rules, take them to heart, sleep on them, eat on them, pray on them. I mean, whatever you need to do to get them into your system. And I do hope that they help you as a content creator, and I hope they help you also as an entrepreneur to reach your goals quicker than I did. Thanks so much for watching. Don't forget to give me a thumbs up, and I'll see you guys in my next video.